Hello, today I will be discussing why we should invest in Johnson seagrass. I am proposing the idea of aquaculturing Johnson seagrass as a gateway into restoring damaged seagrass beds in a dual effort to also take it off the endangered species list. The incorporation of aquaculture could pose great rewards to coastal areas around Florida that have been degrading over the last 20 years. Ecological and economic benefits of Johnson seagrass are a food source, a refuge, and a nursery for wildlife species, an area for sediment stabilization, and an area for decelerated water currents and waves, which reduce turbidity and erosion along coastal areas. You may ask why Johnson seagrass and why does it make it a good candidate? Seagrass beds are critical habitat for many aquatic organisms and act as nurseries for juvenile pelagic species. Plus, it is currently the only marine plant species that is listed as threatened under the Endangered Species Act. In addition, these plants reproduce by asexual branching or fragmentation and colonial reproduction. There will be no need to have separate tanks for different life stages, unlike what would need to occur with finfish. This allows for all tanks to be utilized to grow Johnson seagrass, which can later be transplanted where scarring has occurred. But wait, there's more. The Halophylla genus has rapid turnover and growth rates, which would make it a prime contender for a new aquaculture species to raise. You might ask how we will raise individuals if we cannot secure offspring or seed. Well, let me tell you, a single rhizome node is all that is needed in order to start the restoration process. It is important to collect them with as much soil intact on their roots as possible in order to assist in the transport process according to Sarah Larzibot. The makeup of the seagrass consists of either a pair of stalked leaves without scales or a pseudowhorl of leaves. It has smooth foliage leaves and a creeping rhizome stem that is attached to the base. Leaves can get up to 2 inches in length and have a round curvature to the blade. In the shallow shoals, seagrasses with established root systems will be harvested from local beds that have had substantial scarring from boat propellers. According to Brandon McHenry's article in Reel to Reel, rectangle tanks are a part of a recirculating closed system which will be utilized to raise the plants. The tanks will consist of soft sediment bottoms so that the root systems can expand. Added nutrients, light, space, sediments, filters, salinity, and temperature monitors are necessary to maintain the health. According to a similar case study that was conducted by the Virginia Institute of Marine Science and the Nature Conservancy, it successfully led the largest seagrass restoration project off of Virginia's eastern shore. Marine biologist Robert Orth explained how more than 70 million eelgrass seeds were spread all over plots covering more than 200 hectares, which led to the rehabilitation of seagrass beds over a duration of 20 years. Another important question is that how do we stock Johnson seagrass? Well, recruitment in the wild is most abundant in the spring, so during this time, seagrass mats from the aquaculturing facility will be transported to damaged sites in hopes to restore what was lost. Seagrass beds stabilize the sediment and maintain high water quality by filtering out nutrients from terrestrial inputs, and they also help trap sediment and they also help recycle nutrients within the ecosystem. They also help sequester carbon. It is important to note Johnson seagrass is at a disadvantage in comparison to larger seagrass species when it comes to reestablishing itself in the wild. This is due to its little known lack of seed banks and limited energy storage capabilities in the species. The recovery process in the wild is a very time-consuming process, in which farming this species will give the opportunity to repopulate seagrass beds and eventually be able to take Johnson seagrass off the endangered species list. Aquaculturing Johnson seagrass will help in conservation efforts since recovery is a tenuous process. Restoring seagrass beds that have been damaged will help the environment get restored to its original state before anthropogenic impacts took place. In summary, Johnson seagrass beds in southern Florida are degrading, and aquaculturing has opened a new pathway to save these beds. Seagrass beds are critical for local wildlife such as green sea turtles and manatees, but are also home to many shellfish and finfish species. Restoration can provide an ecologically and economic benefit. Humans have caused the degradation of these beds because of larger marinas, more private docks, and poor policy regulations. Aquaculturing Halophylla johnsoni in a recirculating closed system will allow development of the species and allow its shoot system to expand into more plants. Replanting developed mini beds in damaged areas will help promote recolonization of these beds, which will in part help the efforts to build the local populations up so that the species will finally be able to be taken off the endangered species list. Thank you for watching, and we hope that you invest in Johnson seagrass.